is such an incredible view. Being an introvert does make it more difficult to enjoy, to take pleasure in nature. Like a seat of some druid of old. Still going. Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of Travelling the Chilterns. So, it's expected to be 33 degrees today. I was considering whether or not to undertake some of the more substantial walks further afield. I think I'm going to leave those till the peak of summer. However, what I am going to do today is show you the quarry. There's an abandoned quarry that's now been taken over by nature. It's a reserve now. But what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to show you the two woods that connect to the quarry. Because there's actually a wood that I often go to because it's fairly close to home. And actually, we're fairly near Chinnor Hill as well. Everything near Chinnor Hill is very well connected. So what I'm going to show you is one woodland, just a little bit of a walk there. And then we'll enter another woodland nearby, which has a long, steep track down to the quarry. It's quite a walk, so let's get to it. Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of Travelling the Chilterns. Into the shade of the trees once again. This particular woodland is a favourite of mine, precisely because it's not actually part of a designated nature reserve. It's simply a woodland adjacent to a very small gravel car park. Aside from those arrows you can see on the trees, there's no real sign of it lacks access. It lacks basic access that you might see in a nature reserve woodland. And I particularly enjoy this stretch of woodland because not only is it surprisingly extensive for the spot you can access it by, it's also very, very quiet. Don't want to disturb the pheasant. I've seen maybe only a handful of people here in the several years I've been walking through it. Most of the time you do hear it's managed by gamekeepers. You do hear gunshots occasionally, and I once actually saw the hounds chasing down a pheasant. In fact, I'm just reminded of that from spotting that pheasant back there. I was walking back through this wood and I saw a chase going on. I don't have the best relationship with gamekeepers, admittedly. There was always somewhat of tension between the conservation students and the gamekeepers at Sparsholt. But yes, as you can see, I'm just showing this field and this farm here. It's what I'm enjoying about this series so far is that I finally get to show where I live and just how rural it is. So this particular woodland actually carries on for quite some time, and it even takes in some paved tracks, and there's even farmhouses and whatnot, and there's a lot to see. But actually the subject of the video today is going to be the quarry, so I think what I will just do is I'll show you this impressive spot, which every time I come here, I just love the sense of openness. So considering I just stopped at a gravel car park, not even a car park, just an obscure niche spot, a passing place really, and I get to just be here by myself. This extensive woodland, just all to myself. It's a playground really, and I think whenever I come here, I just love the sense of movement and again that sense of basic animal traversal. And I think I mentioned that in the Chinnor Hill episode when I was wandering through the woods and there were slight raises in the land. Now here especially, I don't know, whenever I see places like this, it makes me more aware of the fact that I'm traversing through this other realm. Because even in a woodland, often it can be flat. If I just sit down here, it's such an incredible view. Play of the light, look at the exposed roots of these beech trees. I'm just here by myself on a warm, very warm summer's day. Simple joy of being able to sit in a place like this, completely by myself, no one's here. Being an introvert does make it more difficult to enjoy, to take pleasure in nature. Because often when you go for a walk, you want to be by yourself, you want to think, you want to contemplate. If nature is the thing that gives you the most solace, sometimes you can feel impeded upon by groups of people, even people just walking past. It's often nice to share a moment, head nod, how's your day going? If you might meet a dog, but oftentimes, most of the time, I prefer to be by myself, and it really does feel, right now it feels like I imagine a much less densely populated Earth. To imagine this expanse of woodland just carrying on endlessly. It reminds me of the feeling that Beren might have felt when he was wandering through the woods and hills of Arda. Enchantment healed his weary feet, that over hills were doomed to roam. And of course it's always nice to have company, but it's just this sheer simple joy of moving through this landscape here right now, with all of these layers, the exposed roots, the banks, even this piece of makeshift, this little seat here tied to this tree. It's a world in and of itself here. I think that's what I'm trying to get across. Because even when I try to practice gratitude and try to really slow down and have a sense of presence, I often can just find myself walking through the woods and not particularly engaged. But when the environment is like this, it forces you to move differently, to really see that you're in this other realm. And just have a look at these exposed roots here. It's it's Hobbit-esque. It reminds me of when the ringwraith was searching for the hobbits and they were hiding under the roots. And what's interesting about this place is it takes in a valley of sorts. It's hard to get a sense of, but there's a very, very steep ridge here. Let me try and find it for you. So I've just come from that direction, and you'll be able to see here there's a long valley. I'm not going to be able to show you the full extent of it, but it goes on for a very long time. It's a long stretch, and at the end I once found a deer skull, which I believe was placed on the limb of a tree, I think by some gamekeepers. I decided to take that home with me. But yes, there are some impressive views down that way in particular, with some fairly steep overhangs. But today I'm primarily showing you the quarry, so I think we'll turn back. So just returning to this spot, as I was going back, I forgot that down here in the bowl, in this basin, is actually where I recorded the last Tolkien memorized video, my rendition, my original interpretation of Sing All Ye Joyful, which Tolkien wrote, included in the Hobbit. I do recall making that video whilst framed by a portal of sorts. Yes, actually it is this particular area. Unfortunately it's been snapped off. But I was drawn to this structure here, this wooded structure, because it reminds me of a portal. As you might have gleaned by now, I do have an interest in structures that make one aware of relational difference. Quite interested in liminality and thresholds and things like this. Sing all ye joyful, now sing all together. The wind's in the treetops, the wind's in the heather. The stars are in blossom, the moon is in flower, and bright are the windows of night in her tower. Now, time to get out of this basin, which is collecting a lot of heat, and move to the next woodland, which is where we have the long track leading down to the quarry. Well, it's certainly hot. So down that way is a very long and very steep track that we're going to head down to get to the quarry. First of all though, I just want to show you this stretch of woodland here, which is rather enchanting. Although it doesn't have the same history and the same ecology, it somewhat reminds me of Wistman's Wood in Dartmoor, just because of the short stature of the trees and the sort of narrowed physiognomy of the woodland. This particular tree is somewhat serpentine. Such an enchanting stretch of woodland. I have to say, I'm actually wearing my new glasses, and it's almost overwhelming just how much detail there is and how much green and all the layering. It's really something else. Like a seat of some druid of old, or some other figure with a store of gnomic wisdom. Alright, so now that we've seen that stretch of woodland on that side, let's head down this track as indicated by the arrow. It's going to take us to the quarry. It will probably be difficult to appreciate the steepness. Still going. Getting greener and flatter now. I wish there were more birches in the Chilterns. If I can complain about one thing, it's the lack of birches. Recall what I've said in various videos thus far. Endless tracks, endless pathways. Still going. It really is so strange to be living in essentially the Shire. I'm not trying to sound unnuanced or glib or anything like that. This really is. It's Tolkien country. There are places we might go to, such as Brill, for example. Brill with its famous windmill, which was inspiration for Bree in Middle-earth, the town, the village of Bree. As far as I'm concerned, we haven't even got started when it comes to the Shire-esque locations. I'm particularly looking forward to covering Ellsborough with its cottages and its ancient church. Still going. This is all part of one long track. I have to say, I almost got emotional there. Visibly emotional. Just wandering through this, this track here feels almost timeless. Just seeing that little doorway there attached to the elder limb, with the heat radiating down. It's just, and then contrasting all of this with someone a little like the child in Every Star, a film I recently reviewed, staring out of his window upon a drab concrete jungle. Just get a sense of how many places there are to go. This is all part of the ridgeway. So many different tracks, so many ways to go. And let's just take a moment, in fact, to appreciate this cloudless sky. Incredible. Thankfully my hay fever hasn't really kicked in yet. Otherwise, it'd be a different story. I still try to appreciate where I am, but I do suffer from bad hay fever, which is ironic given that my background is in ecology. Now down here there should be an opening that leads to the quarry, the first body of water. There's actually two bodies of water. Some of the views that we'll be seeing are rather impressive. There's a location far, it's essentially elevated, it's back that way, but we need to go here first. You can actually look down upon the water. Here we are. I think one of the reasons I'm doing this is I don't think I've really ever gotten across just exactly how much contact I have with nature and just how beautiful this entire region is. In fact, right now it feels as if I'm in some far-flung country, especially because it's so sunny and so warm. And we get our first view of the water in this disused quarry. All of this, everything that I'm showing you right now, is extremely close to Chinnor Hill Nature Reserve, subject of the second episode. And you can actually see the quarry. Over that hill is Chinnor Hill Nature Reserve, and you can see the quarry when you drive up to get to Chinnor Hill. It's all very close by. I don't know, I think I would expect to be in a place like this and to be able to do what I'm doing right now if I was on holiday, if I had taken a flight to Spain or Italy or wherever it might be. But no, this is my back garden, essentially. It's quite ridiculous. So technically the name is Old Kiln Lakes. So you can see that this was formerly a chalk quarry. It was purchased by Taylor Wimpey Homes and given over to the public, gradually restored for nature as well. Always takes me back seeing SSI and spas and sacks and so forth. This interesting Chilterns area of outstanding natural beauty. It's now changed to the Chilterns National Landscape. Free water bodies have been created on site. The pond area on the north of the site, adjacent to the calcareous grassland, and that's chalk grassland for those not in the know, is seasonally wet, and the habitat described in the calcareous grassland information board, is suitable for newts, common toad and grass snake. The remaining two main water areas have low amenity use and serve as important developing wildlife habitats. The wildlife lake supports wintering teal in large numbers of 200 plus recorded, making this a site of county importance for this species. Lapwing and little-ringed plover breed in the open ground surrounding the water body, and large flocks of fieldfare forage on the berry-bearing scrub. The lake has populations of great-crested newts and other amphibians, including common toad, common frog, smooth newt and palmate newt. Slow worms and grass snakes are found on lake banks. Fish feed on tadpoles, young newts and water fleas, and are therefore seasonally removed. Invasive weed and vegetation are also removed to maintain water clarity, taking care to avoid disturbance of resident species. Nest boxes for barn owls and bat boxes for common pipistrelle have been placed about the area. Noctule and Dobbiton's bat have also been recorded. This wildlife lake in the quieter southwest reaches of the site comprises deep trenches, shallows and scrapes, and supports a variety of habitats. In the shallow water on the northern and northwestern banks, large populations of tadpoles and water flea appear in the spring. At the drier margins, tall herb, ruderal and grassland vegetation has developed, including large areas of teasel. In the main water body, aquatic vegetation is limited due to fluctuating water levels. Well, as you can see, what was once a quarry, a human-managed area, has now been largely given over to nature. Many species abound. A place armoured with conservation designations. Here is the first bird hide. So what I think I'll do is I'll sit here and rest a while and observe the wildlife, and then you might be able to see some people over there in the distance. I want to go there as well because there's a second bird hide, and then at some point I will make my way up here along this ridge somewhere. I can't quite remember how to get to it, but there's a second lake as well. We're coming up to the second bird hide. This place would have been incredible to grow up beside. There's a certain quality to it that reminds me of sort of quintessential childhood days. I did sometimes, with my twin and a friend, used to spend time at a reservoir, but this is a different level entirely. Just reminds me of endless, just puts me in mind of what it would feel like to live in a non-digital age. Endless summers. Just lazing about. Or if not lazing about, observing wildlife. Alright, so time to head higher up into the hills, and there should be a ridge which looks down onto the second body of water. I'll be glad to get into some shade because I know that this area includes some woodland as well. I think it might actually be about 33 degrees. As if what we've seen isn't enough already. I actually forgot that this is where we are now is Oakley Hill, which is in fact a nature reserve, a remnant of precious chalk downland and beech woodland adjoining quarry workings along the ridgeway. Here you can see views of the quarry on the left. There should be an opening in the fence, although they've probably patched it up by now. It provides a view right down on top of the quarry, over the quarry. Let me tell you, it feels about 40 degrees. As a Scot, I do not handle this heat well. We found it. One moment.
No, bro, help me.
So, despite coming here a few times, I'd never actually managed to reach this point. Previously I was up here looking down upon the quarry, but after some discussions with some younger people, managed to find a way down. And of course, whenever it's a bit more secluded, draws a certain type of person. You're technically not allowed to jump into the water, but there are certainly plenty of people jumping in. You can see a tent and some smoke and litter and things like this. It's a human-made space. It's a space of recreation. They've turned it into that at least.